Tradition. You can't buy it. It's earned the hard way over decades and eras. On the field, on the road, in the mud. With guts and with grit, and firm belief that today could be our day. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is back. Our 109th edition. Still alive, still kicking, the oldest prize in American soccer. 96 teams, part-timers to major leaguers. Survive and move on, lose and you go home. So we call all underdogs, dreamers and believers. And we ask you again one simple question. Are you up for the cup?
It is the 111th birthday of U.S. Soccer, and what better way to celebrate that than with a draw for the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Happy to have you with us this afternoon. I'm your host, Joe Malfa, as we conduct the draw for round 3 of American soccer's oldest and most historic tournament. We're only about 12 hours removed from round 2 ending last night, but it's time to go ahead and start looking ahead to round 3. Again, 109th edition of this tournament. 96 teams entered, 48 remain. There's your breakdown of the teams who advanced from the second round, and you've also got 16 entering from USL Championship in round number 3. Now, I can't do this alone, so who better to have with me than MLS veteran and the only player to ever score at all 4 rungs of this tournament than Jamie Watson. Thanks for joining us today.
Joe, it's great to be here with you. I've watched you call nearly 1,000 U.S. Open Cup games over the years. You've hosted virtually every draw the last few years since the resumption of the U.S. Open Cup. So it's great to be here with you. It's interesting because I do have that perspective of being on the Dallas Tornadoes as an amateur team on up to Real Salt Lake in Major League Soccer. So I can understand what each and every team will be feeling throughout this tournament. But 2 things I've learned over the years watching you do these draws, Joe.
Which are?
First, self-confidence.
Okay.
Right? When you reach, grab the envelope, do it quickly, confidently. And number 2, self-awareness. To understand that the viewers at home don't actually care about anything I have to say. So with that, why don't we keep it moving? Let's get the show on the road and get to the draw.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the overview of how this is all going to go down today. Teams involved process. It's 32 teams divided geographically into groups of 4 or 6. Remember, this is maybe the most important thing to remember today. These 16 USL Championship teams that are entering must be paired against the second round winner. So if you see us moving cards around, it's because we're avoiding USL Championship on USL Championship matchups. There's some other technicalities based on who can and who can't host. For all of that, I send it over to our commissioner, David Applegate.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to be back here with you and the crew for another Open Cup draw. Here's how today's draw will work. Each group will have 4 or 6 teams represented by a card inside matching envelopes. When it is time to start drawing the teams, Joe will shuffle the envelopes and Jamie will pick the card. When each club has a venue available to host in the 3rd round, the draw will be straightforward. All teams will be placed in the draw, with the first teams drawn from each group filling the host team spots H1 and H2 until all hosts are determined. The remaining teams will be filled into the away spots A1 and A2 in the same order. Teams that did not apply to host or do not have a venue available will be withheld from the draw until all home teams have been drawn. Lastly, we must remember the provision that Joe mentioned, that each USL Championship team entering the tournament must be paired against the second round winner. As the draw plays out, this may require teams skipping a place to maintain the intended interdivision matchups. And with that, we're going to get started with today's draw. First up from the Northeast are Hartford Athletic, Rhode Island FC, Charlotte Independence, and NYC FC2. Charlotte joins the 3 teams in the Northeast as the last Division III team remaining after the formation of our other East Coast groups. Among this list, Rhode Island is not available to be selected as a host. After we draw 2 hosts, Rhode Island FC will be placed into the draw to be selected as a visiting team. Now it's time to turn it over to Jamie, no pressure, and Joe.
So just to confirm, 3 cards. These are the 3 hosts. We will draw the 2 hosts. I have Rhode Island on an adjacent table. We'll bring them in after the first 2 hosts are drawn. So that's why you see 3 cards here this time. And Jamie, look away. I'm going. But let's go. First 2 home teams in this 3rd round. Almost ruined it right away.
One card at a time.
The first team to host, Hartford Athletic.
So Hartford Athletic of USL Championship will go into H1. So remember, as we continue on and we bring Rhode Island in, they cannot be drawn into away one. This will be for the second host team now. I'm not that ugly. You don't got to look away from me every single time.
I've seen a lot of you in the first 2 rounds of this tournament. Let's see who the second team hosting will be. Charlotte Independence.
Okay, Charlotte Independence of USL League One. I've just brought Rhode Island back into it. Jamie looking away, I'm looking away, so you don't know which card I just grabbed as Rhode Island. Now this will be away one, unless it is Rhode Island. In that case, they will go to away two. And of course,
Rhode Island FC.
they will go to away two because, again, we cannot draw USL Championship teams against each other, although that might be a fun matchup going forward, those two now occupying the same region in USL Championship. But without further ado, this should be one team if we've stuffed all the cards correctly. If not, we've got something else to worry about.
Maybe you got some questions to answer if it's not.
NYCFC will go against Hartford Athletic. So there you have it, the first region, your matchups. You've got Hartford Athletic against NYCFC in a USL Championship against MLS Next Pro matchup. And you've got Charlotte Independence of USL League One against Rhode Island FC. These are two very intriguing matchups to get going here. Hartford and NYCFC always had a little bit of history together, being in such close proximity. You've had instances in which teams or players were loaned between the two, so there's some connection there. And Brendan Burke's Hartford Athletic team, they've looked really good early on in USL Championship.
They really have. I love seeing NYCFC too. New York is blue in the Open Cup after beating New York Red Bulls 2. It's an exciting group and excited for the first round of matchups. We got more to come.
All right, 1 down, 6 groups to go. Next up will be the teams in our Atlantic group. They are Loudoun United FC, North Carolina FC, Carolina Core FC, and Richmond Kickers. All teams have venues available to host on April 16 or 17, so this draw will be straightforward. Go ahead.
All 4 cards, all here, can all host. Well, you're looking away, so I don't have to shuffle them too much, but here we go.
First host will be
just
being
just
nice
tear
in
it
the
apart.
first
We're
round.
not
We're in
saving the
group
envelope,
two here.
Jamie.
The first host, Richmond Kickers.
Richmond Kickers, the pro team that is still in this right now at this stage, who has won this tournament in the past. They have a rich history in the Open Cup. Now we go home 2.
The second host will be
A lot easier that time with that envelope.
Yeah.
Good job.
North Carolina FC.
Now this year in USL Championship, last year's USL League One title winners made the jump back up the championship and will host. All right.
Take the first team. That will be the away team. Carolina Core FC.
So Carolina Core will have to go to away 2 because that means there's another USL Championship team in here that cannot be drawn against North Carolina.
Just for confirmation, Loudoun United FC.
So Loudoun United against the Richmond Kickers there. Former association Loudoun United with DC United. That has since changed. Independent team now in USL Championship against the Kickers, somewhat geographically adjacent. There are 2 teams there in Virginia. And then North Carolina FC, who were, again, terrific last year, winning the USL League One title against Carolina Core FC. So 2 in-state matchups is how it works out here in the Atlantic region. It's always fun seeing Richmond in this tournament. Big win they had the other night, 5-2, to get through to this next round.
Yeah, they were confident and comprehensive in their performance against the Bobcats. I'm very excited about the Tar Heel State matchup there. Carolina Core, the general manager, Eddie Pope, head coach Roy Lassiter, head scout Andy Williams, a plethora of experience. Very excited for that matchup in this region.
On to the next round.
Next round? No.
Next region,
just the
sorry.
next
Yeah,
region.
too early for next round.
Next region group.
There you go.
Anyway, let's go to the Southeast teams next. We've got Memphis 901 FC, Miami FC, Miami United FC, and South Georgia Tormenta. The 2 Miami teams provided the starting point for this group when we made the pairings, and Miami and Memphis were the remaining USL Championship teams, so they joined together. South Georgia Tormenta joins as the closest remaining second-round winner to Miami. Among this list, Miami United FC did not apply to host. After we draw the 2 hosts, Miami United FC will be placed into the draw to be selected as a visiting team. Turn it back over to Joe and Jamie.
All right, so like the first region, again, 3 cards being held. Miami United off to the side. We'll welcome them back. And I already shuffled them while he was talking. I'm efficient here. You could keep going. But Miami United will come back in after we draw the hosts.
Played a lot of Old Maid with my kids at home. I know shuffling around is important. The first host will be Miami FC.
Miami FC into H1 of USL Championship. New look side this year. A lot of new faces, new coach. Off to a pretty good start.
The second host in this region, Memphis 901 FC.
All right, that makes things nice and smooth for us. We've got both USL Championship teams hosting. So as I welcome Miami United back into this will be a straightforward draw for the away sides. Again, both USL Championship teams already drawn. Pick one.
First away matchup will be South Georgia Tormenta FC.
Tormenta against Miami FC. So we're robbed of the all-Miami clash because this is supposed to be Miami United.
Miami versus Miami's had a good run.
It
Good
has.
run the last
It
couple.
has.
Miami United FC.
One of the amateur sides that have come through, they've looked really strong in the early going here. They had a 1-0 win over Chattanooga FC, and then they came out and won 2-0 over Club de Leon. They've kept 2 clean sheets. They've outscored their opponents 3-0. It's been a very impressive showing from Miami United. I'd watch out if I were Memphis 901. That is not going to be a walk in the park by any means.
Pahoy had another goal. Back-to-back rounds for him, scoring goals. I'm sorry to the viewers. I robbed us of a Miami derby. Having said that, though, couple of enticing matchups in the Southeast region. Keep an eye on South Georgia Tormenta FC. They have some experience in this tournament. Young group of hungry players trying to prove themselves. Memphis 901 FC continuing to try to evolve as a newish club. So it should be another good group.
All right, and now we head for the South teams. They are Birmingham Legion FC, Louisville City FC, Chattanooga Red Wolves SC, and Greenville Triumph SC. The USL Championship clubs are the only 2 available hosts in this group and will be drawn first. Then we'll draw the cards for the 2 visitors. All right, one out of 2. Can't go wrong here.
Birmingham and Louisville being next to each other is ironic after the weekend that we just saw with Louisville's 5-0 win over Birmingham.
The first host, Birmingham Legion FC.
Going into home 1. They made a nice run last year under Tom Sohn, who's won this tournament as a player and a coach. Lost to Inter Miami they did last year before. Again, a nice run from the USL Championship side.
The second host, Louisville City FC.
All right, so now I could bring the 2 non-hosts of this group in. It will be straightforward again as it was in the last region because the USL Championship team's already been drawn. So this is for A1.
First visiting team will be Chattanooga Red Wolves SC.
Chattanooga and Birmingham get things going. Would have been an interesting one if it were the other way around. Chattanooga met Louisville 2 years ago in Open Cup, a win for Lou City.
You love reminding the viewers when I don't give them the tasty matchups, huh? Greenville Triumph SC.
Oh, this one is still a tasty matchup because you see the star over the crest there for Greenville. They've won a title in USL League One. And then, of course, Louisville City has had tremendous success in USL Championship. In a way, those are the 2 teams who are maybe the flagship brands of both of those respective leagues. So I'm really looking forward to that Louisville City-Greenville Triumph matchup.
I see Birmingham Legion, and I think Matt Van Okel in goal, still doing it. Still at a high level. He's been spectacular, coming off a performance in which they would be disappointed against Louisville City. It was a thumping, comprehensive win for Louisville City, but I think that could be fuel to the fire for this Birmingham Legion FC side. And Chattanooga Red Wolves, that is a team that can quietly make some noise as they have over the past couple years.
And from the south, we head to the north.
Here we go. That was my transition, but thank you. Now we're going to hit the states that border the Great Lakes with Detroit City FC, Indy 11, Chicago Fire 2, and Michigan Stars FC. Among this list, Michigan Stars did not apply to host. They will be withheld until the host teams are drawn. I think we know this drill by now.
I think we got it. I think we got it. So let's go hosts first. One thing we haven't gotten yet is Jamie consistently opening the envelopes in a clean fashion.
The first host will be Detroit City FC.
Oh, that is always a tough place to go play anybody, whether it was when they were still in NISA, when they moved on to USL Championship. Good luck going up there. Danny Dickey has got that team in a good way right now.
Very happy to not upset the home supporters there. They are a raucous group, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've heard this.
The second host will be Chicago Fire 2.
Chicago Fire 2 into home 2. In comes the lone team that did not host Michigan Stars. So again, remember, we do have a USL Championship team in these envelopes. If they're drawn first, we'll have to go to away 2. And I wouldn't necessarily want Michigan Stars either. 2 really impressive showings in their opening 2 rounds.
First away team, Indy 11.
So they go to away 2. Have to avoid Detroit City. No USL Championship teams competing in this round.
This should be the back-to-back NISA finalist, one-time champion in 2022, Michigan Stars FC.
And they left it late in their first matchup against Steel City FC. Last game against Minnesota United 2, they went to extra time and won it 2-0. So they're in a good way right now, and they haven't even begun their season yet, and they're already looking like they're in mid-season form for Michigan Stars. And going beyond that, Chicago Fire, too, they have a lot of pride in this matchup, in this tournament. As a club, they're up there with the MLS team that has won this tournament the most amount of times. So now the second team is looking to keep that tradition alive as they take on Indy 11.
There's a lot of really, really good players on both of these teams. Detroit City, Maxi Rodriguez is on fire to start off the USL Championship. Watch Michigan Stars in the first couple of rounds do a tremendous job. You mentioned going to Allianz Field, battled the conditions, battled Minnesota United FC 2. And you look at Chicago Fire FC. Shukaluk had a great goal last night. Indy 11 boasts the likes of Jack Blake in the midfield. So these are going to be 2 difficult matchups in the North region. Should be very, very good matchups as well.
And Indy 11 made a ton of moves in the offseason. They maybe have one of the most potent attacks in USL Championship. It hasn't really come off yet. They're still gelling, they're still meshing, but that is a team, look out if they get hot, both in Open Cup and in USL Championship. So now we will move on to the next region, and there's a little difference here based on the last ones we've seen.
There is, Joe. As we head to the Midwest, we encounter our first groups of 6 teams. This procedure for this group is the same, but we will utilize H3 and A3 to account for the 2 additional teams. This group includes El Paso Locomotive, FC Tulsa, New Mexico United, Lubbock Matadors, and Northern Colorado Hailstorm, and Union Omaha. Only 3 of the 6 teams in this group have applied to host, Tulsa, New Mexico, and Omaha. So each of these teams will place into a home position first, followed by the visiting teams. So let's get started with our 3 hosts.
Get it going.
First host in H1, FC Tulsa.
FC Tulsa, H1 USL Championship team. A lot of turnover they've had, coaching staff, players this offseason. Looking to get on track. A win in the early going against Vegas this year.
The second host will be Union Omaha.
They are not a lot of people's favorites right now. I think the social media crew was looking at Des Moines Menace and the fun they've been bringing. I thought you were going to play for them in the next round if they got through, but Union Omaha said, you know what, we'll save Jamie's knees. It's okay.
Yeah, I could have given him 7 solid minutes at best. So we're all better off for not having
It's about
to see
5
that.
more minutes than I would have been able to give them.
The third host, New Mexico United.
So with that, we bring in the 3 teams who were not available to host. And remember, USL Championship, League One Championship. So there's 1 USL Championship team remaining. If we draw them first, they go there.
I'm paying attention to you. First visitors, Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC.
And just confirming, David, they can go into away 1.
Yep, they're headed to Tulsa for the 2nd time.
Left it for late, David Garcia last night.
Very late. It was stoppage time of extra time, 122.
El Paso Locomotive, USL Championship.
First time that we've had a straight shot across, and we didn't actually have to move things around. They jump right in against Union Omaha, and 1 card left.
Last away team, the Lubbock Matadors.
One of those amateur sides coming through the open division in the qualifying. So there you have it here in this region. You got Tulsa Hailstorm, you've got Omaha and El Paso. That one should be an interesting one as well. Omaha has been in or around the final of USL League One basically every year. El Paso basically in and around the playoffs of USL Championship every year. New Mexico is an incredibly tough place to go play. Lubbock Matadors are going to encounter a terrific environment out there.
They really will. Going out there and playing in New Mexico is something that every team dreads, and that's because New Mexico United have made their home sort of a fortress over the years, and Eric Quill has that team playing some exceptional soccer early on in the USL Championship season. Union Omaha against El Paso. Union Omaha finds a way to just continually make noise in this tournament. They've had some incredible success early on in their career. And Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC under Ayman Zayed, well, they can go and compete with anybody, as we saw late last night against Colorado Rapids 2 away.
All right, here we go. And finally, the West Coast. Las Vegas Lights FC, Monterey Bay FC, Oakland Roots SC, El Farolito, Irvine Zeta FC, and Spokane Velocity. Among this list, Irvine Zeta did not apply to host, so when drawn, they will be placed in the first available away position.
All right, we've done it for all the others. We do it one final time. Make it a good one, Jamie. Whoop, almost fumbled.
Oh, right on cue. Very happy you finally made a mistake.
It was the first five-card shuffle. So.
The first host, Las Vegas Lights FC.
Oh, they have become my favorite team to watch in USL Championship in the early going. Jose Bautista of MLB fame now in charge there. New front office, new coaching staff, whole new players and roster, and they've been terrific so far.
Next host, Oakland Roots SC.
And one of the best home environments in USL Championship as well. Those fans are there. They're strong every single time. They've gotten off to a slower start. Actually, just lost to Vegas this past week, but it's a tough place to go play.
Third and final host of this region, Monterey Bay FC.
Well, that worked out. We've got all the USL Championship teams in this region hosting, so this could be, correct me if I'm wrong, David, this is a straight shot all the way across the away teams.
Straight shot all the way out.
All the way
across.
All right.
Frank Yallop will agree with that.
Frank Yallop has done a lot in this tournament, too, at the MLS level now with Monterey Bay. So this will be for away one. Again, it'll be straight across here.
First away team, Spokane Velocity.
And Lee Wiedemann has this team in a good way so far. They've led for a total of 6 minutes in their 2 games. They've left the drama for the end, and they're through to the third round.
Second visiting team, the matchup that Joe Malfa was hoping for.
We had this matchup last year. We had this matchup last year between Oakland and El Farolito. I had a chance to call it. It was a ton of fun. 2 local teams in the area. I had a chat with the staff of the Oakland Roots, and they frequent El Farolito's burrito place for lunch. It's right next to the facility, so there's a lot of crossover there.
You're buying burritos after
on
this,
me,
aren't you?
on
there
me.
We go.
It is National Burrito Day in addition to U.S. Soccer's birthday, by the way. That is not a made-up fact. That is true.
The final team, Irvine Zeta FC.
Irvine Zeta FC, an impressive showing last night, winning that one. I believe final score was 3-0 over Ventura County. Off to a terrific start. Their first ever Open Cup, their first year as a pro team. They haven't even played an official pro game yet in their league in NISA Irvine Zeta. A terrific start for them, a dream start in many ways. And then again, this is one that I think a lot of people might have been looking forward to. El Farolito and the Oakland Roots, they play each other in preseason every year due to the proximity. And Monterey Bay against Irvine Zeta as the last of those matchups with Monterey Bay hosting. So here it is in all its glory, the final batch of matchups here in this third round. Vegas and Spokane, that's going to be a fun one. Vegas, not a new team per se, but in many ways, Jamie, they are a new team. Again, top to bottom ownership, staff, players, all new year over year. Spokane in their first inaugural season, so essentially 2 new clubs there.
Yeah, and I look at Las Vegas Lights. They've done so much good off the field. Now it's finally starting to meet on the field. Can they quite having a run? And you start to look at Oakland Roots. They continue to build year on year. Is this the year they start to make a run? And they'll like that matchup against El Farolito.
All right, thank you. That completes today's draw. U.S. Soccer will be posting the exact dates, times, and locations for all these third-round games later today on usopencup.com, as well as through the tournament's official Twitter account @OpenCup. Good luck to the teams in the third round. Thanks to all the teams and all the fans that have supported Open Cup and gotten it off the ground this year. And now I'll turn it back over to our host and our successful first-time draw analyst.
Yeah, that works.
Title? That's your
Sounds
first
fancy.
title?
Take that. I'll take
I've
that.
been called worse.
Semi-professional envelope opener. I'll take that. Well, Well, we're here to look at what our favorite matchups are going into this third round. I'll start with you.
I look at Louisville City FC and the matchup they get. I think that this could be the year with Danny Cruz at the helm. I look at James O'Connor, the roster they've built. They've had some injuries. The likes of Brian Ownby is down for a little while, potentially for long term. But I think that group has built the depth to make a real run for the tournament. And I think that could be a dark horse as this tournament progresses. Louisville City, for me, that's the matchup I want to see against Greenville Triumph. Joe, I'll ask you the same question. What matchup? I think I know where you're going with this.
I think we know. And before I get to that, which we probably already know, I mentioned it before, don't forget, this Saturday, Louisville City against Indy 11 on CBS, watershed moment for USL Championship. First matchup on network television, CBS, Louisville, Indy, 4 p.m. Make sure you're tuned in to that one. And without further ado, my favorite one, I already mentioned it, I already spoiled it. It's Oakland against El Farolito. That one is going to have a lot of people locked in. El Farolito went ahead and beat Timbers 2. They went ahead and won this past round as well to get this matchup again with Oakland and maybe get some revenge after Oakland eliminated them last year. And all these matchups we're talking about will be taking place on April 16th and April 17th. These are the dates coming up that you need to remember. Third round, April 16, April 17. April 18th, we're back again for the round of 32 draw, and the round of 32 will take place in that early portion of May. For any other information that you may need or you're curious about for this 109th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, you can visit usopencup.com for more info. We thank you again for joining us for the third round draw. Let the countdown begin. Only a couple of weeks until round number 3. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.